Joining me now is Attorney General Pam Bondi, who is a great friend. Madam Attorney General, welcome to the show. We appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
I think we should be tariffing Hollywood. I know it's not your jurisdiction.
Well, I agree. I think President Trump wants better movies. He loves the movies.
Better movies. Now, over the weekend, this MS-13, a group that Democrats seem to be supporting some of the time, went at a riot in a Virginia prison, tried to kill 6 guards. One of the guards is still in the hospital. Can you tell us about that? It's a terrible story.
Yeah, it is. And I was on the phone late into the evening that night with Governor Youngkin, who is doing an amazing job there. Larry, these MS-13 members are serving, I think all of them are serving almost life in prison. 5 of them are in for murder, 1 for rape. One of the murders involved decapitating a person, cutting their body up so small that it fit in a small trunk. The other one cut off someone's hands, and they called him the butcher. I mean, these are the worst of the worst. 4 of them were illegal aliens, should not have been in our country, committed the worst of the worst violent crimes. 2 of them were one was an El Salvadorian national, so he was in the country legally, and the other was an offset of the MS-13 gang. They were organized. It wasn't just a riot. They had planned this. They had plotted this. It was organized, and they were targeting the lives of our guards. All of the guards except 1 are out of the hospital. 1 is in the hospital still. I'll be talking to him tomorrow. He's in stable condition. But that's what's happening with these terrorists who should not be in our country. They're coming into our country illegally, and they're committing the worst of the worst crimes, the ones I just described to you. And we're going to lock them up forever. And if not, we're going to send them back to El Salvador where they belong, and they need to be in a horrible prison where they're never going to get out. Well,
that was my next question was, you want to keep them locked up for life. I guess there's no capital punishment in Virginia. I don't know that, but they have life sentences. But it's expensive to keep them around for life. Some numbers, I don't know, cost $61,000 per year per criminal. So that's not nothing. That really mounts up. Or is it better to send them back? And does the other party, look, you're the Attorney General. It's not really a political spot. But the other party seems to want to defend MS-13 or want to give them the benefit of the doubt. And what you're saying is the evidence mounts on top of it, and keeps mounting, that they deserve no such thoughts, no such permanent doubts.
Yeah, and Larry, these are the worst of the worst. They came in here illegally. They're committing not just a murder. A murder is horrible. Shooting someone is horrible. But they are torturing people. They're cutting their hands off. They're murdering them. They're cutting their body parts up. These are the guys doing that to Americans. And so they're being sentenced in an American prison. And yeah, it's about $55,000 to $60,000 in Virginia to house an inmate. But that's not in isolation. These guys must be in isolation. They're able to run their gangs out of our prison system. Think about that. That's why I'm all in favor of Alcatraz, by the way. These guys have to be out of society, isolated, locked up forever, where they can't run their businesses out of our prisons, and they can't do things like that to try to kill our guards and our law enforcement officers any longer in our prisons. Yeah, it shouldn't be a political issue. This is a public safety issue.
So if certain judges don't want to let you deport them back to El Salvador or wherever, the president suggested over the weekend maybe rebuild and reopen Alcatraz, put them there in the middle of the Pacific Ocean someplace.
I'm all for that. All for that. And I think it will be a cost savings. We'll have specially trained guards. They'll be in isolation. They won't be able to run their businesses. And it sends a very strong message that if you do this, you are going to be out of our society forever. Had these guys been housed at Alcatraz, this would have never, ever happened. They're drug dealers. They're the worst of the worst, and they're killers.
Drug dealers. Now, there may be new talks with China on trade. Maybe. We don't know for certain yet. Howard Lutnick may enlighten us when he comes on. But I believe your point is, and the point of many in law enforcement, is that the fentanyl trade continues virtually unabated. China is the manufacturer of some of the raw materials for fentanyl that are killing people left and right. Some numbers between ages 18 to 34. Its biggest cause of death is fentanyl-related deaths, which is quite remarkable. Round numbers, almost $3 trillion cost of damages from fentanyl. These are staggering numbers. What do we do about it? And we have to think about this with China, because I was in the room in Buenos Aires, Argentina, G20 meeting, big dinner, President Trump and President Xi, both sides. You know how that works. First thing Mr. Trump said, this is back in 2019, okay, late 2019. He said to Xi, will you make fentanyl, will you end fentanyl, will you make it a capital punishment in China? And Xi, without batting an eye, said, yes, I will. And that was one of many lies he has made to us down through the years. What do we do about this?
Yeah, and Larry, it's interesting. People in China don't get addicted to fentanyl because they're shipping it to our country to kill 18 to 34-year-olds. 75,000 Americans are dying every year because of fentanyl. It is a weapon of mass destruction, in my opinion. It's destroying lives. It's costing our taxpayers trillions of dollars. And it's killing our kids, 18 to 34, #1 cause of death. The precursors are all made in China. It's shipped to Mexico, into our country, or through now India, other routes, ports of entry, USPS, coming into our country, and they're killing our kids, and it's got to stop. And it takes 1 grain of fentanyl. I put it in here to show you earlier. You can barely see it. It looks like 1 grain. This is salt, not fentanyl. 1 grain is all it takes to kill an American citizen. And that's what these people are doing.
18 to 34, the biggest cause of death is something related to fentanyl.
And people don't know they're taking it. They think they're taking a Xanax or an Adderall or doing cocaine or doing some recreational drug, a Molly, the college kid drug of choice. Yet it's laced, and all it takes is 1 grain of this junk to kill you.
So the border, the southern border is clear,
Sure
secure.
is.
It's phenomenal, first 100 days. But the fentanyl story is not. So that's where we have to focus. Besides deportations, part of the border story was always this fentanyl story that you're describing.
Yeah.
And so we have to focus on that. That's a law enforcement issue. I think it becomes a trade issue. Mr. Trump, as you know, has tariffs on Mexico and Canada with respect to the fentanyl trade. Now, how are they doing? Is it possible to conclude anything?
Well, I'll let Howard Lutnick answer the questions about the trade and the tariffs. But again, my job is to keep America safe, make America safe, and this fentanyl is killing our citizens every single day. So much of it was in our country already. President Trump, since he's been in office, has taken out over 22 million pills, 3,400 kilos of fentanyl off of our streets since he has been in office.
I didn't know that.
He's saving lives every single day.
Last one. I know you have a meeting to go to. We love having you on set.
Love it.
We've been talking last week about President Trump's religious revival, including a National Day of Religion that he had in the Rose Garden, which was quite a spectacle. You, on the other hand, as Attorney General, you are, I think, promoting religious freedom wherever and whenever you can. And I know you are devoted to that in terms of your own personal views. Just give us a few moments on that. How do we defend religious freedom in this country? Because it's so important. And here's Trump putting God back into the country, which is a fabulous thing in my humble judgment. Now, religious freedom, Pam Bondi.
And President Trump has put that in the West Wing, in the East Wing, in the White House, defending religious freedom with Paula White and Jenny Korn.
Right.
Never been done before. In the White House directly, and it's pretty remarkable. I was there for that event. It was off the charts, and his directive to us is to promote and to continue to promote religious freedom. We're doing that. No longer will Catholics be persecuted. Will they be traced by the FBI in their churches? No longer will parents be banned from peacefully protesting outside abortion clinics. Parents at schools can come because of their religious values and say, I don't want my children around trans athletes. They can come to school board meetings without being persecuted and prosecuted. And that's what we're doing with Harmeet Dillon and our civil rights unit throughout the country. We're putting an end to the horrible infliction that they've caused against families in our country because of religious views.
It will save us.
It will save
this campaign. Increasing religious freedom, restoring religion in the public square, in the family, in personal lives, putting God back into it is how it'll save the country.
And
That's what I
protecting
think.
Israel and Jewish students where they can go to school and not be persecuted and screamed at and not be allowed to walk in their classes.
Yeah, Harvard hates
No
America.
longer.
Harvard hates America. We're going to talk to Linda McMahon about that later in the show. Meanwhile, Attorney General Pam Bondi, thank you for giving us your time today. We appreciate it.
Thank you, my friend.
Great.